Hey everyone, on this week's episode of the Wilsons on Wilson, you are going to see how we do our harvest list. The harvest lists are so important. They are something that I work on all throughout the year, and this list is really what keeps me on track so that I don't just go on 1,000 side quests and miss the things that are really, really important. I love making this harvest list. I do it every single year, and I did this even when our garden was small. Even when, we had just a tiny little garden and I had only a few things to keep up with, I would keep track of those things. So this is super important for how we function here and how we get things done. So this year I started our harvest list in the Grape Garden. It was a beautiful morning. The sun was just kind of peeking through on areas, and I was able to really take the time to be present in that moment. There's lots of times when I walk through the garden and I get to enjoy all the things, but I'm on a mission, I'm on an irrigation mission, I'm on a, this mission, that mission, whatever it is. I'm like, I've got my boots laced up, I'm in it, I'm doing. And even though I am present and here, I tend to hyper focus on other things sometimes. But when I'm making my harvest list, what I'm hyper focused on is being slow and thoughtful and present. Just really taking the time to notice the things, inspecting the flowers and how close they are to seed.
Look, these guys have already dropped their seed.
Looking through and not only visually experiencing everything that's in the garden, but also feeling everything and smelling everything.
Gonna be lots of lupin in here next year. Beautiful cobs of corn. Volunteer feverfew. Lots of lupin in here next year. Living your best life.
Are there areas of the garden that smell a little musty? Do I need to bring some more air into the garden there, cut back some leaves, open things up? Are there areas of the garden that are feeling a little dry and crunchy? What's coming up there for me? So I really take the time to just exist with each plant on its own and really just be grateful for them in that moment. It's a really important time, and it's a really treasured time for me.
Look at the size of this thing. It's gotta be 3 feet wide.
This harvest list that I'm creating right now is so important. It is coming into fall, and there's so many things that are ready in the garden.
The Brussels sprouts are getting bigger. That's so fun.
And I'll add to it too as the rest of the year progresses and everything, and we get further and further into fall.
The cabbage is looking lovely too. These green onions definitely need to get eaten.
As I check things off the list, I'll get to a certain point where I'll hit it again and I'll rewrite everything, and I'll put all the new things that are coming up and ready, and I'll get rid of all the things off my list that are accomplished and done, and I'll just keep going and making more and more notes. I have so many of these notebooks that are just filled with information.
So what goes in the grape garden, what goes in the greenhouse, and cabbage basically goes everywhere.
Within my harvest list, I usually have some key categories that I hit each time. For me, the most important things are what's ready to eat and what's coming up soon, what seeds are ready to harvest now and what's going to be coming up as well, and then what is going to be up and ready to preserve.
This is our 3rd or 4th planting of broccoli. We'll have one more planting of broccoli that's coming up really soon. And then after that, we'll be done until next year.
I headed into what we're calling Blueberry Lane now.
How big these heads of broccoli are. So beautiful.
Took some time to check everything out in there. How's our celery doing? Is it still big and juicy, or is it starting to get a little bit woody? I will eat things fresh when they're sort of fresh and tender and juicy. And then as it gets a little bit later into the season and the herbs get a little bit woodier, that's when I harvest for our herb salts.
These are the most spindly tomato plants that we have in the whole farm. They don't have all that much going on for foliage, but they're actually giving us lots of really great tomatoes.
It was just so beautiful to be able to walk through the garden and take that time to know exactly where we're at with all the stuff. You know, we're still harvesting strawberries every day. We're still harvesting blueberries every day.
There's so many. Everyone that we've talked to said that their blueberries are already done. When is it? 2nd week of August right now?
I think that that's because of how we planted things together and paid attention to their needs, you know?
I mean, who knows? Weather, conditions, whatever. I'm not a blueberry expert, but
there's lots of people out there right now. Their blueberries have been done for weeks. Their blueberries are planted in rows, in full sun, and, you know, we chose to do something differently.
Blueberries are in the same family as huckleberries, which is typically a 2nd or 3rd stage understory plant.
So there's the tall plants. You have big, tall cedar and oak. And then there's the 2nd story, be something as tall as an apple tree or something, right?
And then below that, you've got your huckleberries. And below that, you've got all sorts of other jazz, right?
So there's this dappled sun. You still want them to get sun for sure, but in giving them what they would be closer to having in their natural habitat, you can allow them to be themselves a little bit more.
More of their natural surroundings, I guess, or their natural habitat. For this to function like an ecosystem, it has to be a system.
It's just the practices that feel good to me. You know, and that's not to say that there's a black and white, this is right and this is wrong and everybody should do it this way. I don't feel that.
When the guy dropped these off, he was like, you're not putting them in a straight line? Like, you're not putting them in rows? And I was like, no. And he's like, are they going in the sun?
I felt like what these blueberries needed was a little bit of partial shade.
Okay, like he looked confused by my plan to have them like weaving along with the flow of the land.
And it's worked beautifully. Like I said, we're still harvesting blueberries every day while other people's have been done for weeks, and we still have tons of blueberries ripening.
Tons of them.
You know, we could be eating blueberries all the way into October easily with how the plants are doing. Instead of just having a big, huge flush where all the blueberries are ready at once, we are having a much slower, thoughtful harvest with them and able to extend their life a lot more just by allowing them to be in a little bit more of their natural space.
Okay, so we've reached the point in our pickle house, we'll call it for now, that we need to do a good cleanup. Cut off the lower leaves, and it's gonna be my first harvest of cucumbers to make pickles with and stuff. So in here, we're gonna go through, and any of these little guys, these little side shoots, we're gonna start weaving up as well, and then just clean up this whole inside bit here. So.
When we do the harvest list, we're looking, we're touching, we're smelling, you know, and I got into that greenhouse and I thought, I need to get on these cucumbers. they're too congested.
Very cute.
It's been so nice to have Aaliyah coming around more often because, you know, now she's feeling strong enough and Ember's feeling strong enough. And it was so much fun. Ember was so inquisitive, you know? We pulled a bunch of weeds in the cucumber house and then added more trellis netting and opened things up between the cucumbers and the basil and just allowed that area to really breathe and brought those tendrils back up the trellises, harvested the cucumbers in there and sent Aaliyah home with a big box of cukes to make pickles for us. And it was just so beautiful to connect with her and see how much fun Ember was having in there. I was really, really happy for it.
Look at this. It looks like the strawberries under this blueberry bush are happy, but these are actually buttercup. I'm trying to choke them out. The strawberries don't even get a chance to do anything. They're just like too... Hello, Annabelle. Are you helping us make a video? Thank you so much. Can you show our friends that these strawberries are no bueno?
One thing we tried that didn't work so well in there, which I do have another category on my list, which is called Danger Zone. And one of the things that I added to the Danger Zone list was the strawberries.
I mean, like, they're living, but they're not producing any strawberries under here.
Under the blueberries, I planted strawberries thinking it would be a nice ground cover for the bases there, but they're miserable. The ones that we planted with the asparagus are beautiful.
The strawberries and asparagus are looking so happy.
They are thriving. They're still giving us tons of strawberries every single day. And the ones that we planted under the blueberries are not getting enough sunshine at all.
They only get light for such a short period of time, and they're just constantly trying to be swallowed up and choked out by stuff.
And even though I think they're doing a good job for the blueberries of being that ground cover, it's really not where the strawberries are the happiest. So I'm definitely going to be transplanting those in the late fall once everything's kind of wrapping up and coming to an end. So that's something for us to think about as well, which is all tied into this harvest list, which is once we harvest and we open up the soil, we need to know, are we replanting, are we seeding, or are we mulching?
So this is an area here where we pulled out the old peas and then decided to sow some extra dill for ourselves for the pickles.
Because we want there to be things covering up the soil. We don't want to open up the soil and then leave it for all the weeds to take over and the soil to dry up and not be able to create that loop in the system.
So this is our next area for seeding. We pulled out the old broccoli. We're gonna plant a bunch of lettuce and fill that space.
If we plant things, we need to know that we're planting the right things, or test out if we're planting the right things, you know, because who knows? If we're seeding, we need to know what it is and why. And if we're just allowing that soil to recover and replenish, then we're just gonna mulch it and allow that mulch to be there so the bugs can find their happy habitat and the birds can have something else to pick through. You know, that soil can stay protected, and as those leaves break down, it can be fed and really just tucked in for the winter to have some time to recover.
Somehow this just doesn't even do justice.
Next, we hit the newest garden beds that we created, the ones with all of the dahlias and the corn.
This mix-matchy row of all of our mysteries. I did 3 of them. They're actually kind of turning out to be my favorite.
That area is just coming up so wonderfully. Our dahlias are beautiful and strong and just looking lovely. And it was all the ones that we had that were question marks.
They're just so wild and wonderful.
At the end of the year last year, through the dahlia days, we just didn't know what they were. They were mysteries, and so we had whole bins of mystery tubers.
And they're just looking so beautiful. Oh, but then look at the corn. I mean, how can you even pick a favorite?
It's cool because within that zone, there's some things that we did for the first time, like growing popcorn and making those funky bean trellises. I pictured us, kids in particular, being able to get into those little hidey holes and eat beans.
Isn't it cool?
And in my mind, I thought, like, I hope this works. I hope these crazy, windy things that I've created here with sticks and string.
This little bean fortress. I love it.
Are gonna, first of all, hold strong for the beans, and second of all, create a bit of a barrier so that the squash doesn't come in and impede massively our walking aisles. And oh my gosh, it just worked so wonderfully.
There's a bunny in the garden.
There is.
There's a bunny in the garden.
She's like, ooh, that's a bean leaf. Do you see it? Do you see it? And walking through that row between the tomatoes and the beans, it's like a whole nother world.
Like, that's how high I can reach with my hand. It's got to be at least 2 feet taller. And it has flowers up there. What are you doing with your life? How are you going to hold that up?
You can walk through there and pick a couple tomatoes and snack, and pick a couple beans and snack, and I just love it so much. And I'm really excited to see how it happens, how it goes. You know, our corn is getting so big, and our squash. Oh my gosh, I figured out what those squash are.
I was questioning, and it wasn't even very long ago. I thought that these were going to be spaghetti squash. But like, it's not a spaghetti squash.
They are North Georgian candy roaster squash, which I bought on purpose.
See these guys? I was like, who the heck are you?
We sowed extra seeds of them on purpose, but I guess I just forgot in the mix of it all.
I thought that they were going to look like a pumpkin for some reason.
I had candy roaster pumpkins before, but these are these giant, like some of them are 2-3 feet long at this point, and they're huge. They're just absolutely massive.
A ginormous squash.
So I'm really stoked to see how they all turn out. It's really cool. I don't even know what to say at this point because I feel like it's like it's just so ridiculous. Our toilet. Oh my god. Our toilet. Yeah. Okay, so this weekend, it's Sunday. We had things planned for outside, but it's raining, so we were like, oh, we'll just do stuff inside, whatever. We tidy the house. It's gonna be a lazy day. We're gonna watch a movie. And Cody was like, yeah, lazy day. And I was like, yeah, lazy day. You know, grateful for this beautiful moment of rest we were about to have. And I walked upstairs and walked into the bathroom, and there's like a puddle all around the toilet. The water was seeping out through the bottom of the toilet. I'm like, Cody. Okay. Like less than a minute after Cody was like, we're gonna have a restful day. The wax seal is gone from around the toilet, like the seal for the base of it. I was like, haha. Fooled you. The universe has other plans. Cody just drove to Rona. Oh my god! Here's the thing.
We need to get all of the water out of the bowl.
I don't know what people want to know, you know?
So the first thing we do is we turn this off.
In the beginning, when we started this
Close this
whole YouTube jazz,
so that no more water is coming into the bowl.
you know, we want to capture the journey.
We flush
And then it kind of turned into like our story, this whole thing of our entire story and journey.
So that whatever's in the tank is gone.
It was not even the original intention, but that's just kind of what it became, you know?
So then that's empty, but then you're left with all this water in the bowl.
And I love teaching things along the way.
The easiest way to do it so that you're not getting a whole bunch of water all over your floor.
You know, not just the fact that we do these things to provide for ourselves and our family and save money and do these, whatever these things might be.
It's basically just to plunge it out.
But how we do these things and why
So,
has become really important to us.
take this.
Like doing little tutorials and you know, just showing people, you know, you can spend $300-400 on getting a plumber in, or you can spend $10 for a part at Rona, put in a little bit of elbow grease, and, you know, be able to save that money. The gods don't want us to have a lazy day. They want us to get to work. So here we go. When Cody came in, he's like, what are you doing? I've got the camera on a tripod.
You're
Well, I don't know what people want to see. Maybe they want to learn how to fix a wax ring on a toilet.
Maybe you guys want to know how to save $400 and not have to call a plumber.
Got all the water out of the bowl for you.
Maybe you want to know these things. So the next step is just taking off those bolts from the sides of the toilet.
And this is what I felt like doing today.
Lift it up, set it off to the side.
That looks grimy as all hail.
Scrape off all the old wax
Yeah. Ooh, that's very goopy.
and clean it up the best you can from the floor and the bottom of the toilet. And then he just put in a new wax ring, put it on, turned the water back on, and it was perfect.
Haha, I see nothing. You fixed it.
Of course it fixed it.
Cody.
It's my job.
It was an easy, quick job, and it probably saved us $300 or $400.
Yay! Way to be awesome, babe.
So, you know, I don't know if you guys wanted to know, but now you know. Now you know. So this is a poppy seed pod. There's all sorts of different kinds. There's big ones, small ones, everything in between. But these ones here are coming from our wildflower bed. So all through the season, as these start to go to seed, I'm going to be collecting them for Jordan and Andy. We have Jordan and Andy's wedding this coming weekend. So not only was I going through checking what's coming up to eat, what's coming up to preserve, everything like that, I also was taking note of what was coming up and going to be ready for their wedding flower arrangements. Okay, so we are going to harvest some seed pods for two reasons. One is because we want to save the seed because the flowers are super rad. And two is because the seed pods look so freaking cool.
Gabby, some starflower. Hello.
And I just know they're gonna look amazing in the flower arrangements that we're doing next weekend. So here we go. Started off just by doing some weeding around the edge of the garden bed, getting that stuff pulled up and open. We clipped back the starflower and of course had to take a small break because Annabelle desperately needed all the cuddles in order to continue her day. Able to harvest all of that beautiful starflower, get it all cleaned up in the barn and hung up so that it will be ready for Jordan and Andy's wedding, because we're going to use a bunch of those beautiful seed pods in the arrangements, and then also the ones that had gone to seed enough that they were fully through their cycle we're able to harvest those so that that will be what we plant for next year.
This is the actual seed itself, which is just like wildly wonderful. It looks like a badminton birdie. And it's got a star in its foot. I like it. I love it. It brings me joy. I hope it brings them joy too.
So I have small little booklets and like notebooks and things like that that have information from the gardens, I think as far back as maybe like 2010. But I have these detailed books, tons of detailed books, as far back as 2018 that keep track of all the things that I've been doing and you know, sort of catalog what's being planted, what's being saved, all of that kind of stuff. And it's so cool to look back on and see because, you know, seeds are expensive. Some farms spend thousands of dollars every year on their seeds. And, you know, I definitely buy seeds. I buy seeds every single year. But the amount of money that we save now on the seeds that we save throughout the year is huge. Being able to be as sustainable as possible is so important to us. It's important for us to be able to learn all of these things so that we know that we can provide food for us and our family and our friends and eventually, hopefully, our community, you know, and it's also a way of preserving things that are native to this land that, you know, sometimes they're spraying herbicides through the entire forest and those things that they're spraying for are important. They're important to the ecosystem. They're important to how this entire rainforest functions, but they're annoying to people maybe, or like annoying to government workers or loggers or something. I'm not really sure. There's definitely some things out there that are getting really beat up, and I feel really grateful that I can go out there and see the beauty of what they are and what they provide and the beauty of what it is that they need and be able to provide that bridge, that connection sometimes, you know? I think that it's a really special thing for me and it means a lot, so.
Hey,
Hey,
how's it going?
it's going.
Yeah. I just redid the window talk for the third time.
Oh my god, really?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god. These are the talks, I tell you.
I was feeling down yesterday. I tried to, I did. I filmed some stuff and it turned out that I didn't have the mics figured out right. And I am like the Bermuda Triangle for technology. Like, it's just, I'm where it comes to die. I was made for trees, not technology. Like, that's just, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we went into the blueberry area and it's just stop saying we. Or just say we and accept that I have decided that I am more than one fucking human and I exist on a plane of multiples. This is gonna be the fucking death of me, B. I'm fucking dying.
If you watch that shit from yesterday, you're gonna be like, oh no. Like, it was so fucking bad. Just like, and I had to like deep breathe and do like acupressure points to try and not fucking crumble. I was like, I'm having heart palpitations. I'm dying. This is it. This is how I die, trying to make the window talk. Like,
Oh my God.
I was feeling so down. And then one of you reached out to me just in a completely unrelated thing and left me some messages on Instagram.
Hi, Emily. My name is Amber. We've messaged before, but I thought I want to send you a voice message. I just finished your most recent episode, and I just want to tell you a few things. That is your best episode, I think, so far. I loved it. And I think what I absolutely loved, and this is going to cut off at 50 seconds, so I'm probably going to send you a few messages. I hope that's okay. I loved that it was 100% combination of kind of you and everything that you're kind of currently experiencing at your place with the gardens. Everything was super relatable, I think, for any gardener, right? Beginner or intermediate gardener, or even an advanced gardener. I loved that, like, you showed a lot of the things going on in the gardens that aren't maybe perfect, but were so cool. And other thing that I love about your episodes is the tutorials. So like when you did the garlic today, I love that. Like when you did the fire shots or whatever those are, like that kind of thing. I love those because like I'm going to do that this fall and I'm going to go back and watch those. Fire cider, I think it's called. Anyway, I just want to tell you that. Keep trucking along. And thank you for sharing your struggles with us because my God, it's relatable and I love it. And that's all I wanted to say. I hope you really keep going and you should do your photography stuff. And it's amazing how the world just sort of pushes us into new things all the time. And I love that, right? It just keeps it unexpected. But I just love your videos so much. You guys are doing so awesome. And I look forward to them every week.
It brought light back to my soul. It was just one of those moments where I was feeling really down and it just lit me back up. And I was so grateful in that moment. And it was funny because in her message, she even said, like, I don't even know if you want to hear this.
I don't even know if you want this feedback. Maybe you're just like, Amber, shut up. But I'm giving it to you.
And I thought, girl, this is exactly what I want to hear. This is exactly what I need to hear, you know, like I love the feedback. I love that people feel connected and involved. I love that, you know, even though there's just a few of us on this journey together right now, it feels like a connected little community. And it's just so beautiful to me. That connection is so important and so beautiful. I'm super grateful for it. So, thank you, Amber. Thank you for reaching out to me yesterday, even though you didn't know I needed it. You did. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. And, yeah. I'm gonna get my butt back to work.
I think it went well this time. I mean, there was definitely a few side quests and things that probably won't fit in.
That's not what I was planning on talking about at all. Why did I just do all of that? That's not where I was going.
So like, I'm not deleting it even though it's a fucking disaster. It's a fucking disaster.
so grateful for where we're at right now and for the support of the people around me and all of you, really, all of you out there. That just like give me hope for the future. You know, it's wild. It's really, really wild. Shout out to someone in Medicine Hat who apparently is a big fan.
Are you gonna watch one of our Wilson videos outside though?
I am here at Daenerys' house and I'm about to drop off the little surprise from Wilson's on Wilson.
From Emily to you. It's your very own Wilson's on Wilson shirt, so you can wear that while you're gardening. And your very own gardening hat.
She asked me to record this. What do you want to say?
Thank you.